What's up, Golf Sickos? We are live in Bethpage. This might be one of the last Stand on Golfs that we do. I said on yesterday's show that if Scottie Scheffler went 0-5 that I would retire. He's 0-2. Alan, Europe leads 5.5 to 2.5. We were watching just before we went live here, and we said it actually feels like the U.S. is kind of lucky to only be down 5.5, 2.5. We're going to talk about every angle. We're going to talk about every match. We're going to talk about the pairings as they come in live. But just let's start generally overall. What's the story of today?
That the top Europeans showed up in a big way, and the top Americans were trash. That's really what it is. I mean, Bryson and Scottie Scheffler, 0-4 combined. Tommy, John Rahm, Rory, 5-0-1. And that's the whole Ryder Cup right there. Europe, we know, is stacked. They're cohesive. They're confident. The only way the U.S. is going to win is if their best players brought it, and they just simply did not.
Yeah, they didn't bring it. It didn't get off to a good start, so it was 3-1 after the morning. I think they put Bryson and JT out there, and we'll just hop in right into the matches. They put Bryson and JT out there first against Rahm and Hatton. Rahm seems to go out first pretty much every time. He's becoming a Ryder Cup legend. I don't know exactly what the record is, but he's like 8-0-2 or something in his last.
Yeah, 7-0-2 in his last 9 partner
in
play.
The team matches, so they put him out there, and you're expecting JT and Bryson to really rev up the crowd, and we're going to talk about the crowd because I think it was an interesting performance out of the crowd today, but it was pretty subdued this morning. They won the first hole. Bryson hit a bomb down the middle. JT hit a wedge to about 15 feet. Bryson rolled it right in, and that was about it from that match.
It was their last birdie.
Was that their last birdie?
Yes.
Yeah, so it just almost felt like it never really got started.
I mean, you said the crowd was interesting. I would say they were a woeful disappointment. There was almost no energy out there. It was as quiet a first tee as you're ever going to get on Friday morning at the Ryder Cup. And all the buildup about the New York crowd, the New York crazies, they didn't deliver. And maybe that's because the actual crazies got priced out, and we've been talking about it all week. But it was very flat. And what more can you ask for Bryson to almost drive the green, make a 20-footer? And even then, they were still kind of flat as a crowd. And once Europe got into the matches and they really dominated kind of the middle holes, there was no energy out there.
Yeah, so JT lost, I think, over 2.5 strokes alone putting in that match. And, JT's putter was a question mark coming into this week. It has not been good all year, and it did not show up in the first match.
No, I mean, well, not to jump ahead, it was a major redemption tour for JT this afternoon because a lot of people were calling for him to be benched until Sunday. That's how bad he played. I mean, it wasn't just on the greens. He wasn't driving it well. He wasn't taking advantage of good drives by Bryson. It was just an all-around super disappointing performance. You send a guy out first for a reason. Like, that's supposed to be your street fighter. That's the one who's going to set the tone for the whole thing. And JT just didn't deliver.
Didn't deliver at all. So they win that match 4-3. The second match, Ludwig Åberg and Matt Fitzpatrick beat Scottie Scheffler and Russell Henley 5-3. I tweeted yesterday that I thought that Scheffler and Henley were going to be the Mollywood of this Ryder Cup. Not off to a great start. But we'll talk about Scottie in detail. But I want to start with Fitz because you said yesterday that you felt like he had the most pressure of anyone. He came into this Ryder Cup 1-7. I remember his first Ryder Cup 2016. He was like 21. He couldn't hit it out of his shadow. He was still playing on the DP World Tour. I think he got one alternate shot match with Henrik Stenson before singles, so they buried him. He got dusted by Zach Johnson in singles. Yeah. His next Ryder Cup was 2021 at Whistling Straits, and the match was already over, but the U.S. had already clinched, but they were trying to get this record. And he was the last match. It was him against Daniel Berger, and he's in the middle of the fairway on 18, and he hits the ground 6 inches behind the ball, and it goes tumbling into the water. And I remember Patty Harrington walked next to him and put his arm around him, and it was a pretty sad scene. And then he won one match with Rory, where he actually got really hot at the last Ryder Cup at Italy, but he was 1-7 coming into this, and there were some question marks over him being picked, but statistically he had been one of the strongest players over the last month, and he was the best player by strokes gained in the morning session. He gained over 4 shots, basically with half a round. So that was a massive leap of faith for Luke Donald to throw him out there, and he delivered big time.
And he was number 1 in strokes gained by a comfortable margin. And you could see there was a little catharsis in that fist pump when he made the putt to win the match. Like, he kind of let it out for a guy who's so buttoned down. So yeah, it meant a lot to him. And that the stars are always going to get the most attention, but you need the role players. I mean, the NBA analogies, you need the guys hit the corner threes. You need them to get the loose balls. And that's Fitzy's role. And I mean, he delivered.
So Henley, first tee shot, there was some chatter about Scottie not teeing off the odds because the prevailing wisdom this week was that you want the longer hitter on the odds. Henley goes first, and I think one of the reasons that I was so excited about this team is I just felt like Scottie was going to be playing from the fairway all day because Henley drives it so straight. He had a nervy pull on the first hole, and it kind of never got better.
Well, and also, Scottie's the world #1 who's won everything. Henley's a Ryder rookie. Like, of course, he can barely take the club back. He probably couldn't even get the ball in the tee comfortably. Like, just for no other reason, forget the sequencing the holes. Like, Scottie should hit that shot just to let Russell kind of settle in. Yeah, that quick pull, it was like he never got his tempo back. He struggled on the greens. I mean, I'd be surprised if we see Henley again until Sunday.
You think so? You think he gets the full bench?
Yeah.
So the next match, the third match, was Rory McIlroy and Tommy Fleetwood against Colin Morikawa and Harris English. These guys didn't even make it back over the road. We were talking about all day, are they going to make it to the road? They did not make it to the road. Yeah. Rory and Tommy are a really, really tough team to play against. They seem to have this foursomes formula Europe does, and I would imagine, and I think we're going to get the pairings any minute here. I would imagine they go right back to that group because they were 3-1 this morning. It was 4-0 on Friday morning in foursomes last time. They were 5 under par through 8. I mean, the scoring this morning, and yes, the Americans didn't play great, but it wasn't like they handed it to the Europeans with a bunch of bogeys. The Euros played unbelievably well this morning.
There was, at one point when all 4 matches were on the back 9, Tommy and Rory had 5 birdies, and the entire U.S. squad had 7. Like, they were playing a different game. It was beautiful to watch.
It was beautiful to watch, less so from Colin Morikawa and Harris English, and this was a pairing that, if there was one that raised eyebrows, we talked about it on yesterday's show, it was probably this one, because Colin, not the best year. Harris English qualified on points, but really on the strength of a couple tournaments, and statistically, I think Data Golf had it as the 132nd best pairing out of 132, which is kind of amazing.
It's a great stat.
Because the U.S. does have a data team. Like, they have smart people in the room. But I also will
they?
I also will say this. We're talking about like a tenth of a stroke here. Yeah. So the best pairing, I don't remember who it was, but the best pairing, they only get a 0.15 shot boost on their mesh.
Sure.
This is the most overanalyzed tournament in the world. And then there was also a stat that Harris English and Colin Morikawa actually are pretty good on long, difficult, driver-heavy courses. So I think we're living in an age where there's a stat for fucking everything. You can find the stats that say this is a bad pairing because it's 0.1, and I think everyone on Twitter is an expert, right? And they said, the U.S. made this huge mistake by not playing the rookies, not playing their best ball strikers in the morning. If they had played the rookies and they lost, then the narrative would be, how do you play the rookies, first off in a Ryder Cup?
Yeah. The players they redeem the captain or they bury him. It's, the players have to hit the shots. It's just, the Data Golf thing is just funny because it's 132 out of 132. It's just so...
Not 131.
Exactly. It's just so memorable. But it's also, like, they're of different generations, Harris English and Colin Morikawa. They don't seem like they're really bros. They don't have any history or chemistry. It was just kind of like this shotgun marriage where, well, maybe this will work. It just felt like it was a reach. And, Keegan kind of rolled the dice in group 2 and 3 with Russell Henley and then with these guys, and he just came up snake eyes.
He came up completely snake eyes, and it looked for a moment there like it might have been a sweep. I mean, it was... That match, the Cantlay, Scheffler are moving to the last match now against Victor and Bob Mack. They end up winning 2-up, but that match was even really, really late. And it was absolutely massive for them to get a full point. I mean, if you get skunked 4-0 in the first session at home at this Ryder Cup that has been hyped up, I mean, it's embarrassing is what it would be. So 3-1 felt like they had some momentum, and kind of an hour, 30 minutes-ish before that one went final, Air Force One flies overhead. And Keegan, I think, said in an interview, like the president just came here, so I feel like it might give us a boost or something. It felt like that was the only moment that the U.S. felt like they had a little bit of momentum. It was the end of that match into the whole trump of it all into the first tee shots. But Cantlay deserves a lot of credit, and so does Xander.
Yeah, and Xander's reward for playing beautiful golf was he got benched. Like, you have one team that came through for you that didn't get historically boat raced. You know, this is the first.
The first three weren't close.
It is the first time since 1951 that in one session one team lost 3 matches by 3 holes or more. Like, this was a historic blowout, and the one team that came through and showed some grit and some heart got broken up when they already have a great history and they love playing together. Like, that's an automatic tear up the pairing, send them back out again. Like, they were the only guys who delivered.
So you think Keegan got it wrong a few times today?
Definitely.
But is that just a hindsight thing, or did you say in the moment that he got it wrong?
Well, I just feel like if you have one team that's playing well, you got to reward them, and they have a history together playing, 4 balls as well. So these were not wild cards. These guys have paired together in Ryder Cups, in President's Cup. They're best friends. Like, that, to me, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, so they move into the afternoon. The U.S. is down 3-1. And
well, do you want to go into the Trump stuff now?
Sure.
Because, so I was out there the whole time for the end of the Xander match, and then there was this buzz in the air because whatever you think about Donald Trump, the office of the President of the United States.
There was Secret Service everywhere. Everyone had to go through security today. There was a buzz.
Yeah, a buzz. I mean, you had these commandos with crazy guns.
Yeah, there he is. Look at that weapon. That thing is serious business.
This is a golf tournament.
Yeah.
Like, incredible presence. There was a feeling in the air. And now, when it was more anticipatory, because when Trump actually came out, the crowd was very quiet. I only heard 1 or 2 boos. People didn't want to boo him.
Yeah.
Maybe out of respect for the office, and maybe because we're in a red part of New York. But it was definitely not a lot of cheers. The crowd went totally subdued. It was an interesting thing. I wasn't even sure he'd arrived yet. It was like no one knew how to react.
Yeah. You just go crazy? What do you do?
Yeah. So there was this great buildup, and then it got kind of flat. And then the players came out, and it still stayed a little flat.
Yeah, why was there no buzz today? It really did feel like there was not any buzz today. I mean, we spent so much time talking about this Ryder Cup and these fans, and it's going to sound crazy, but I think it might have been better at Whistling Straits 4 years ago.
Yeah, because it was a smaller crowd because of COVID. Those people were into it. They were loud. And I mean, I've been to Phoenix Opens that were way louder than this Ryder Cup.
Did we just overhype it, or is the place so big that it feels like the sound doesn't echo? Like,
to some degree, when you cross the road, it's a huge ballpark. But that amphitheater there around the first tee and the 18th hole, I mean, I've never seen a corporate build out like that. Huge grandstands. I mean, everyone's condensed in that area. I don't know. I think we talked about this yesterday. These were not the crazies. This was a corporate crowd. I mean, the prices were so high. Now,
you get LACC vibes a little bit?
Oof. Yeah.
Don't even say it.
Where fun goes to die. But anyway, so I'm sure that the prices on StubHub have crashed now, and maybe we'll get some hardcore Rangers, Knicks fans, and tomorrow maybe the fans can redeem themselves. But I honestly, after all the talk, today was kind of it was a dud. That's the only word.
It was a really brutal day for the Americans. So they roll into the afternoon, and Europe drops out John Rahm again with Sepp Straka this time, who sat in the morning, and Scheffler this time played with the U.S. Open champion J.J. Spaun. What did you make of Scottie's performance today? I don't think he made a birdie in 4-ball on his own ball until the 13th hole.
He just looked grim. I mean, having to carry around Russell Henley's carcass took a lot out of him. It just
damn.
Sorry, I went too far.
No, listen, he's still alive.
But it was just the Ryder Cups, it's pressure, but the Europeans always look like they're having fun. There's chemistry. They're pointing at each other. They're gesticulating. There's energy. There's emotion there. And Scottie was flatlined. Obviously, he wasn't playing well, so he was a little grim, and his team was down constantly. But that's the thing is, Rahm has a commanding presence.
He's scary in these, man. He's becoming really scary in these.
Yeah, he's magisterial. You see Rahm and you get pumped up. And Scottie's objectively a better player, but he has 1/10 of the presence. And you can say the same thing about Rory and Scottie too. I mean, Rory has fire in his eyes. He's like a killer out there. He's giving it to the fans. Rahm and Rory are inspirational figures, and Scottie is not.
I think it's a look into just how different the Ryder Cup is from everything else. You know, all of this data, right? We talk about data golf, we talk about ideal pairings. All that data is taken from 72-hole stroke play events, and a lot of them are the Travelers Championship, or it's it's Memphis, and it's Russ Henley can kind of go shoot his 68 in peace on Thursday and Friday, and then maybe he kind of finds himself in contention. But it's almost like you'd want to look at how these guys perform on the last 3 holes when they're in contention, because that is the atmosphere that there is throughout. So we're looking at this right now, and this is a list of overall strokes gained, and I'm going to pull it up on my computer. So it's overall strokes gained of how the guys have done, and Scheffler is actually the 3rd best American behind Cameron Young, who we're going to talk about in a second, and Bryson was the 2nd best American. So just because you play well doesn't mean that you're going to win matches. But what I was saying was, like, we got to remember not to look at the data from a whole PGA Tour season and act like the Ryder Cup is the same thing, or that you can extrapolate the data from a PGA Tour season to a Ryder Cup, because the U.S. tends to have the advantage in these things every year on paper, and it's just a different beast. It's like a different sport.
I mean, it is. Match play is not what they play on the PGA Tour. It's very much different. And, I coach high school basketball. Like, there's some players who want the ball, and there's some who just want to hide in the corner. And there's nothing you can do about that. All the X's and O's, all the drills in practice, like, it's a personality thing. It's the way they're wired. It's the success they've had coming up, whatever it is. And it just seems like the Europeans want the ball, and a lot of the Americans are trying to hide in the corner.
So this match, they built a pretty solid lead, did Rahm and Straka, but then J.J. Spaun made a birdie on 14 to have the hole after Sepp Straka made a bomb. And then Scottie, it looks like he's finally starting to get some momentum on 15. He makes like a 22-footer, and then Rahm answers him right away. And it felt like any time the Americans built anything resembling momentum, Europe just came back right on top of them.
And Rahm was basically playing that match by himself. I mean, Straka gave them nothing.
He said it in the interview afterwards. He was like, I didn't have my game today.
Yeah, and also, Shane Lowry, he was terrible playing with Rory, and yet the Europeans got a 1.5 out of those 2 matches in the afternoon. Like, the leadership of the key Europeans was just massive.
So then the second match is Tommy Fleetwood and Justin Rose against Ben Griffin and Bryson DeChambeau. Ben Griffin really struggled.
Yeah, poor guy. I mean, he was kind of hiding behind those sunglasses, like the tinted windows of a limousine. Like, don't look at me. Like, he just didn't look comfortable out there at all. And there was a few moments down the stretch where he could have done something, and it just didn't happen.
So Tommy improves to 9-3-2 overall in the Ryder Cup, which is a tremendous record. And it feels like, they have, like you said at the top of the show, they have this triumvirate of Rory, Rahm, Fleetwood that they feel like titans. And who would you say right now on the American team feels like a titan? You're going to give that title to Cameron Young after one victory? No. Is Scottie's 0-2? Like, there's just so much of this is confidence, and so much of this is momentum, and so much of this is belief, so much more so than what the stats show.
Well, and it's been now 3 decades of this. Like, you could look at the European teams. You knew Sergio and Poulter and Westwood, and obviously before that you go back 50 years, you've got Seve and you've got Faldo. Like, they always had these studs to rally around. The U.S. team, we had Tiger, Phil, and Furyk for 20 years. Their records are awful. And now we're in this new era. They're gone, but we still don't have a team leader. We don't have an alpha.
And I know that it's early and there's a lot, but Scottie drops to 2 wins, 4 losses, and 3 ties in his Ryder Cup career. So it is something that is worth following. Why do the best American players seem to not play well in the Ryder Cup? It's a confounding issue. But we have Cameron Young now. He's just a kid from the Bronx, just a kid from the Bronx who
the mean street.
Yeah, he just clawed and elbowed his way to the PGA Tour, but. The only New Yorker on the team, so he goes out with Justin Thomas, and everyone said that this was malpractice to put Justin Thomas out there. They end up winning the match 6-5. It was a really impressive performance from Cam Young, who, up until 2 months ago, was really kind of a golf Twitter punching bag, because his game is so impressive. He is one of the guys who stops you on the driving range, and I'm not sure if it's because of the way he pauses at the top of his swing, or he's got the hair and the beard, or he hits at 9 miles. But this guy bursts onto the scene in 2022. He's got 2 top 5s in majors, and you're expecting him to emerge as one of the best players in the world, and he was just really, really frustrating. He turns it on this last month, and he was terrific today, and him and JT, they needed that point. They absolutely needed that point, and it was stress-free.
Yeah, I mean, I think clearly you have to throw Cam out there for both matches tomorrow and see if he can get the crowd going and if he can just keep making birdies. Because JT he made some contributions, but really young, won that match, and so all credit to him. I mean, it's not. You can imagine the build-up after sitting in the morning, and he delivered. So, is Cam Young going to be our hero? I mean,
that's where we're at.
That's where
we're at. We're looking at you, Cam Young, to be the guy.
A nation turns its lonely eyes to Cam Young.
So Rasmus Højgaard, I talked about this in the lead-up. I felt like he was a pretty clear weak link on both teams. I know you said that Russell Henley is a dead man, but he's still alive. But Højgaard, I think, played 18 events on the PGA Tour on his own ball and had 0 top 10s. He's a little bit of a DP World Tour merchant, if we're being honest. He got in based on his very, very strong play against very, very weak fields. And we talked about guys who might sit the rest of the time for the U.S. I would be somewhat surprised. Maybe I wouldn't be surprised to see him out there because Luke seems to have a plan and he wants to trust all his guys, but he does feel like a little bit of a weak link.
Yes, but the math is really working against the U.S. here. Europe only needs 8.5 points out of 20 to retain the cup. So if they go out and they get 2.5 or 3 points tomorrow morning, they'll probably play Rasmus almost as a courtesy, as building towards the future. They don't want to destroy the guy's confidence.
We're building toward the future already?
Why not? I mean, if they're gonna be up, let's call it 8.5 to 3.5. I mean, I think they already have an advantage going to singles. The U.S. has 4 rookies, and I think that's an overlooked thing in this. Like, Europe has no questions. They know who they are. Their roles are so delineated. They already know their singles lineup. Like, there's no surprises here for Europe. And the U.S. is searching. They're groping. They're fumbling in the dark for anything that'll work. And so, I mean, this is why Europe's always had a plan. Every 2 years, the U.S. leadership would get blown up. There was no continuity. It took the task force era to change that. Europe was doing that for decades. You were always a vice captain for multiple cups before you became an actual captain. They paired these guys together in the Euro Tour.
I got to cut you off here. There's 20 of 28 points still left, and we're talking like this is absolutely over. It was a bad day for the U.S., but it is not over.
No, of course it's not over. But
you're talking like it's very much over.
It's getting...
You're in like task force mentality. you're like, tear it down and start anew, and it's 20 of 28 points are still up for grabs.
You know who was a great New Yorker was Yogi Berra, and it's getting late early.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the math is really hurting the U.S. when they don't have anyone who's playing well except for Cam Young.
Yeah.
And Europe is in full flight. So maybe there's some secret video that Keegan can play to change all the mojo.
Get Michael Jordan in the room. Do you think Keegan was thinking today, like, kind of wish I had my clubs with me this week?
I mean, probably, but Keegan, no matter what, if the U.S. loses, he's still this sort of tragic hero who did the best he could under trying circumstances. But this is interesting. So it's always been a captain around 50 who's not playing the tour anymore. And so they could do whatever they want. There was no blowback in the locker room because they weren't on tour anymore. Like, Keegan probably wants to sit Morikawa tomorrow, both sessions. He wants to sit Russell Henley. But he's got to see these guys the next week for the next 10 years.
It's so true. Like, they could easily get paired together in the first round of the Masters, and Colin's like, fuck this guy.
So it introduces this whole other interpersonal dynamic that Keegan has to sweat.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel for him. So the last match, we got pairings yet, Alex? No pairings yet. So the last match in the afternoon was Sam Burns and Patrick Cantlay against Shane Lowry and Rory McIlroy. They scratched out a half point. Rory had a putt on 18. But really, I felt like where this match kind of turned was on 14. Cantlay there was a big Mongolian reversal. Shout out to Saad Bigala on 13. I'm reading a book about the Mongols right now, about Genghis Khan. I don't think there's a guy who's gotten a worse rap historically than Genghis Khan.
Oh, he was a liberator?
He's a pretty amazing guy.
Yeah.
Meritocracy, is that something that you like?
Sure.
You have Genghis Khan to thank for that. He was the first one to be like, I don't give a shit what your titles were.
Kublai Khan was his brother, right?
I don't know. I haven't gotten that far yet.
Yeah, he was kind of a baddie too.
Temujin was actually his name. Genghis Khan wasn't actually his name, but I don't know.
Are we just stalling until the pairings come out?
No, it's because Mongolian Universal. No, we have a lot more stuff to talk about before the pairings come out, but I am surprised that they're not out yet. But so Cantlay makes a big putt on 13, and then Rory misses a shorty on 13. And then Cantlay hits a dart on 14, and you're thinking, okay, it's Patty Ice time. He's going to do this again, maybe start waving the hat. throw it. You're thinking, can the U.S. somehow scrape 2.5 points? There was some opportunity for that, and he bricks it on 14.
Patty Melt. I'm going to make those T-shirts. That was a wildly entertaining match. That's been the best match of the Ryder Cup. So much happened, and I mean, Cantlay was mostly immense. I mean, he made 3 or 4 huge putts on the back nine, and yeah, for him to miss that one was such a letdown. And then you get to 18, where it's still up for grabs, and he sticks it in the ground and like almost half shanks a wedge into the bunker. Like, he was the hero and the GOAT in that match. It probably half felt right. Both teams could argue they should have won it, but I feel like we kind of lost a moment there, because if Rory makes that putt, he's going to go crazy. Everyone's going to flood the green. Like, it would have been sweet.
You could tell they showed a slow motion replay of the European team, and they were all kind of like this. They were like ready to go because it's Rory's their guy. Rory's the leader of this team, and it's so great to see Rory fully engaged again. I think after the Masters, he was very public about needing to find his new Mount Everest, and he said that the 2 events that he was really looking most forward to were the Open back at home at Royal Portrush, and he finished in the top 10. He didn't win the tournament, but he finished in the top 10. But a lot of that was trying to share his Grand Slam with the fans. It was like, I want to acknowledge the people. I want to soak this up. He was getting the most stick by far. I mean, they were chanting "Fuck you, Rory" on the first tee.
Yeah.
And we weren't out there for late afternoon, but I'm sure after the pops were flowing that he was getting even more stick. And so I think not having to be nice guy Rory and kind of channel this I'm going after this. He's got some good energy this week.
Oh, 100%. I mean, there was a picture when they were walking into the opening ceremony, and everyone's jolly and having a good time, and he's got the sunglasses on. He looks like the Terminator, like total game face, even before it started. And I think the Irish Open is going to be remembered as a really important week for Rory in this last act of his career. Like, that kind of re-inspired him, and that got him out of the postmasters fog, and he's brought that energy into this week. And I'm actually amazed he missed that putt, because that would have been a moment.
I think I said to you before, I said, as sure as the sun is going to come up tomorrow.
Yeah.
I got to stop making declarative statements this week.
I think that's true. But really, from the European perspective, as bad as Shane played,
Shane did not play well.
and as well as Cantlay played for the most part, and Burns made a huge putt there on 17, getting a half a point out of that was probably a win for Europe.
Getting a half of the point of that was probably a win for Europe. So we'll talk about a few things while we wait for the pairings here. The golf course, no teeth. It's interesting. It's going to further the narrative that Ryder Cups in the U.S. are, they cut the rough down. It's a birdie fest, which is an interesting strategy, because statistically there was no difference between these two teams. It's not the old days where you got a lot of bunters on the DP World Tour, and now I have to defer 1 hour. You guys will remember that from yesterday. I've been doing it ever since, still deferring. They all play the PGA Tour. They all hit it a really long way, and you can't control the weather. And there was a good amount of rain that fell on Long Island yesterday, which made the greens really soft. But the rough was a choice, and it just felt weird to see Bethpage Black play. I remember Justin Thomas on the 5th hole hit a long iron and that basically plugged into the green. The rough is so down that there isn't a lot of penalty for missing.
No, it sucks. I'm not sure it favors either team the way it's set up. It's just an artistic failure.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I'm trying to. That's a much more succinct of what I was trying to say. I don't think that it's playing into the American hands or playing into the European hands, but it's you're coming to Bethpage Black. It's the beast. It's the black. And everyone's just kind of hitting driver and then figuring it out from there.
Yeah, it's just mindless golf. And, the European Ryder Cup venues have been so uninspired in the last 20 years. It's just a money grab. They go to these lame courses. They have some infrastructure. And the U.S. venues have been better. Whistling Straits is objectively a great golf course. So is Bethpage when it's set up for championships. But we kind of lost the plot there. It could have been really cool. Bethpage could have been in story, and instead it's just this bland sort of canvas for guys just to make birdies. So
yeah, the whole Bethpage of it all has been a little bit of a letdown. It's only one day. It's only 8 out of the 28 points have been decided.
It's the tone setter. I mean, the first day defines what follows in so many ways.
Yeah, I completely agree. One thing I wanted to touch on. The coverage today was a really rough scene. It is astounding to me that in the year of our Lord 2025, there is not a way to there's only 4 matches out. When I watch the Champions League, I can watch 4, and I understand there's 4 different matches, but there's got to be some sort of premium product that allows fans to watch all 4 matches on different feeds. The broadcast was missing shots. There were only 2 matches on the course, only 4 balls in play at the time, and they were missing shots. The amount of a moment ago's today was sickening. It needs to die. It's a big miss for an event this big, this important to golf in New York, and all of golf Twitter was talking about how bad the broadcast was, and they always complain about the broadcast, but there were people who you could tell don't tweet a lot who were just logging on to complain about the broadcast. I saw Chris Goddard tweeted there weren't enough commercials. I saw Grant Horvat said, I love commercials with a side of Ryder Cup. If Grant Horvat, the nicest person in the world, is complaining about the commercials, you know there are too many damn commercials. But it's not even the commercials that bother me so much. It's like the golf audience is a wealthy audience. You're telling me if you charged $8, $10, Ryder Cup Plus, there's 4 different streams, the Masters figures out how to do it. How are we still living in this world where there's only 4 matches out there and we're missing shots and we're showing stuff on delay?
It's so quizzical. I mean, when you're on NFL Twitter, do people complain about the coverage?
No.
No.
They figured it out.
Yeah. I mean, you get one announcer might catch a few strays, but it's like every other sport has just figured it out. And it's just absolutely incredible. We're having this conversation week after week, and it's really discouraging.
Well, I think this one was particularly bad because, you know, the PGA Tour, like, you get your feature groups. There was only one feature group that you could watch. You know, the Players Championship, they have the PGA Tour's flagship event. They have the functionality where there's different holes and different live streams. It doesn't have to be like every feed is the and you still have the main broadcast, but give the hardcore, give the sickos an option to watch every shot live. If there's one tournament where it should be possible, it's the one where there's only 4 matches in play at a time. There are 4 matches in play at a time, and we can't figure out. They made King Kong 20-something years ago, and we can't figure out a way to watch 4 matches at the same time.
Is King Kong the gold standard?
Yeah, it's a gold standard. It's a great movie. I don't know if you saw it.
I did see
it. Was like, holy shit. I remember watching that as a kid. I was like, oh, is that fucking gorilla real? Where'd they get a gorilla that size?
It wasn't Citizen Kane. But, I mean, they couldn't even get the main broadcast right. You're asking for, like, a whole new product. Just the most basic vanilla product was trash.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It was not good today. So I got a big kick out of, we talked about the Trump of it all. I got a big kick out of what he said before getting on Air Force One. Let's roll that clip, Andy.
The team is not doing so well. So when I heard that, I said, let's go to the plane. We have to fly and help them.
You know, he was setting it up for the Trump Save the Ryder Cup.
Of course, as if this hasn't been planned for months. It's like, oh yeah, let's take a little jaunt down there. We have 1,000 troops here. We've got drones, helicopters, commandos. Like, yeah, this is not just a spur of the moment thing.
So I made the joke at the top of the show, and we posted a social video where I was talking about Scottie Scheffler, and if he goes 0-5, I'm going to retire. He's 0-2. Alex had a really interesting point. He said, let's say he loses tomorrow morning. I assume that he's going to be, and I cannot believe that these pairings are still not out yet. They lied.
Keep refreshing.
They said that they were going to be out within 1 hour of the final putt dropping, and it is within 1 hour, and there are no pairings yet. So
That's aspirational.
I'm going to start talking a little bit slower, but let's say Slotty. I'm also going to start purposely getting the name wrong of the #1 player in the world. Let's say Scottie goes out tomorrow, and he loses in the morning, but the U.S. wins the session 3-1. He loses. Do they sit him in the afternoon?
I mean,
Or basically, I'm asking, do I have to worry about my career?
you do. We need.
I love that.
It depends, though. I mean, does he have another cannonball around his ankle? Like, if he plays great and his partner is struggling, but he's showing signs, he's showing some emotion, he's making putts, you have to send him back out. But if he's as flatline as he was today, and he's missing a lot of 15-footers, and he just doesn't look like Scottie, then might as well shake it up.
You know, golf's an interesting sport because pump-up speeches don't really work.
At all.
Because being pumped up is almost like the enemy, right? And Paul McGinley was talking about, and it's been interesting, the broadcast having, you know, Faxon kind of giving the American side, but McGinley's a true insider with that European team, and he said, you know, they've tried to meet everything with stoicism and kind of just keep going, because if you get too emotional, sometimes that can backfire if you lose yourself in the crowd. So it's not like Keegan can get in there and light a, you know, it's not like a football coach can be like, they're beating us to every ball. What is Keegan telling his team this morning? He tried to portray confidence on his interview. I saw he said, "Look, that was the first quarter. There's a lot of time left." Obviously, he's not going to say, "Yeah, we got punched in the mouth, and I don't think we're going to win." But what is he saying to his guys in the team room?
I mean, who knows? Like, I did this. I was with some Brits last night, and they're complaining about Luke Donald. He's too boring. He's too vanilla. I said, that's what you want. I mean, think about the car park fracas 2 years ago in Rome, and the whole team was overheated and was about to lose their mind. Like, you want a guy who can bring them down, like you're saying. Like, you need tempo to play this game. Only Bryson can swing it, like a wild man. And so I don't know what Keegan says, other than, like, let's make some birdies. I think you can just see the weight of failure, of decades of failure on these U.S. players. As soon as the scoreboard starts to bleed a little blue, it's like they run out of energy. This hangdog countenance. Like, I think really it's about just project energy, joy.
I would say, like, have some fun out there tomorrow.
Yeah.
And show a little bit of passion, show a little bit of unity. It felt like they got down. It felt like the heads dropped today. And I'll never forget, I think Bones Mackay told me this once, that the great players, they don't drop their heads. I think Adam Scott is probably the best example of this. Adam Scott is always walking with this sort of posture, right? And Tiger might, screw this or fuck that. But then he returns to this. It felt like the heads dropped a little today.
And you could even see it late in the day as all the matches were ending, and the American players, they're just kind of sitting alone on the hill watching their teammates play. The European guys have their arm around each other, they're yucking it up. Now, obviously they're winning, so that's easier to do, but like there just doesn't seem to be this connection.
Yeah.
Like, that's really, and again, I'm not saying that coaching high school basketball is the same as the Ryder Cup.
I think it is.
But thank you. I talk so much to the players about, like, building this bond with each other and hanging out away from the gym and picking up your teammates when they're down. And you just don't see any of that among the U.S. guys.
Yeah, it didn't seem like there were a lot of pep talks going on. It didn't seem like there were a lot of, relationship with the crowd. And, speaking of the crowd, the Europeans, I felt like I almost heard them more, because there's an amazing thing that happens when multiple people chant the same thing. It gets louder.
Yeah.
The U.S. crowd, they kind of just say things to players, and sometimes they're kind of mean. Yes. They were calling Bobby a fat Scot the whole day. Bob McIntyre, he seems to be the one that is, like, most easily rattled.
Yeah.
But they're just kind of like one-off insults, where the Europeans, and I think this is probably stemming from soccer culture and from all the fans singing throughout all these European soccer matches. But I heard Olay's out there today, the song. I heard USA is terrified, Europe's on fire, and then all you heard out of the American crowd was like, "Fuck you, Rory,"
or USA, USA.
Yeah, it's always like, USA, USA,
that's
USA. Yeah.
I mean, my first night ever in Ireland, in the little town of Doonbeg. This is in the 90s, before that course even officially opened. Went to go see it.
It's Trump International now.
Yeah, it's always been Doonbeg to me. And we went to this pub, and we got there, and everyone's singing. We're like, okay, boys, like sing us a song from America. And we looked at each other and like,
USA, yeah. USA.
We were terrified.
That's all we got.
But there is this like, it's soccer culture and it's pub culture of singing songs, and so they have these templates from the soccer songs. Then they tweak the words, and it's just clever and fun. And you're right. The energy that comes back is not nearly as witty or as joyful.
Yeah, it's not self-aware either. It's just it feels like almost a little bit nasty.
Very.
And I'm an American, and I'm rooting for the Americans because I am an American. But it's hard to believe that today went the way that it did. Like, yeah. It just felt like a pretty big fail all around. And I'm seeing like people commenting, just being like, Europe they just feel better. They've got a better team spirit. They're playing better. They have the momentum. Now, this could all change tomorrow. As I've been saying nonstop, there is 20 of 28 points that are still out there. But it just didn't feel fluky. It's one thing if, like, the Europeans are outmatched, completely outmatched on paper, and somehow they claw their way to, a lead like this. But we said going into this, if there was a team that was capable of winning on the road and winning in New York, it is this European team, and they've just started so hot out of the gate.
Well, another, just to finish the thought, after Trump came out and it was kind of quiet and awkward, the Euros started singing, "Ole, ole." It was just hilarious. They drowned out, you've got the President of the United States there, and you've got 10,000 Americans at least, and you had 20 European yahoos singing Olé, and they took over the entire scene. It was classic. So, yeah, their voices carry. But at what point do we start worrying about the Ryder Cup? Because as a thing, like we haven't had a suspenseful Ryder Cup since 2012.
We're not okay.
No, we're there.
We're
Listen,
not there. We're
there.
not even close to there.
It's time to start fretting. It's time to fret.
This is just what you like to do. In 2017, you wrote an article saying, I'm worried about the Ryder Cup because the Americans were going to dominate for the next 20 years.
I mean...
Do you regret writing that?
No, it was over the top on purpose, because if you're going to do an opinion column, you got to inspire some emotion. But, like, that was before Tommy Fleetwood had emerged on the scene. When you're projecting that far in the future, things happen. But, and who would have thought Jordan Spieth was going to disappear? Like, there was just, stuff happens in a long time horizon. But I'm just saying, like, it's the greatest event in golf. Is it, though? I mean, we're going on over a decade where it's been boring. And it just seems like, obviously, Europe has figured this whole thing out way more than the U.S. They've have 3 decades of dominance. They're going to come in here and win. Again, they did it in Medina. They did it here. The U.S. has no shot when they go overseas. Like, you have to start worrying about the Ryder Cup as an entertainment product. If this thing continues and Europe wins, 16-12, and it's just kind of a quiet Sunday and it's over by lunchtime, like, I think you have to start taking a hard look at the Ryder Cup. Like, does it even work anymore?
Yeah, I think if you are looking for reasons for optimism for the U.S., it's very unlikely that Scottie has another day tomorrow like he had today. You know that Cantlay's playing well. You know that Young is playing well. You have a little bit more information to go off of. And, I think Europe probably came into this week with a plan, an ideal plan, and they're sticking to it because it's all going to plan. The Americans, I think at this point, you have to deviate from the plan a little bit. I think you have to take a look around and say, who are my best players? Who's playing the best right now? And who has to sit? And these pairings are going to come out eventually. They really are. But when they do, I think you have to sit Morikawa, English, Henley, and Griffin. And much more important than the pairings is putting the players who are playing the best out there. Put the best golfers out there. And the U.S., I think, has 8 guys, or at least it's not even the 8 guys have really earned it. It's more that you got 4 guys who seem to be really struggling.
You know why the pairings are taking so long is because Keegan doesn't know what to do.
I think that's got to be it.
He's panicking.
It's honestly...
You guys should mock him.
Oh, we should do a little mock pairing?
Do Keegan Luke Donald.
Okay. I'll go Keegan. I'll say it's going to be... My first ones out are going to be Cantlay and Scheffler.
Well, obviously
You just go back... Oh, wait. We got him.
No way.
We got him! We got the pairings. That was going to be really bad television. Thank goodness that we didn't have to do it.
It was
Okay.
going to go quick, though. I was going to say,
Just run it back.
Just
Oh, and I have to log. It's making me log in. Alan, can you?
brutal. Should I tell a tale?
Can you? Yeah, tell a tale. Tell something funny.
You want me to read them out?
There once was a ship that put to sea, and the name of the ship was it? I don't know why that. Captain Luke Donald. Yes. Tell me right now. Or they're streaming it right now. What's going on?
Oh, I got him here.
Okay.
Give me 2 seconds. Just talk for 3 seconds.
All right, we're talking for
We're
2
talking
seconds.
for 2 seconds.
It was a nice day out there.
It was a little hot. I mean, the sun came out. That maybe that'll fry the greens a little bit. They'll get a little firmer, but it is discouraging to see 4 irons plugging.
Yeah, it's just not the Bethpage Black, and I think one of the reasons why everyone was so excited about this tournament coming here was everyone feels like they're a member of this course because anyone can play it, and they're like, I know what this shot does. This is not the Bethpage Black you play on a normal basis.
It's never been this easy.
It's never been this easy.
Yeah.
Apart from the distance, it literally played easier today than it does on a random Thursday in July.
Well, on a hot day, they were driving it forever, so it didn't even play long.
Okay, interesting. Bryson again in the first match. So, no surprise, Europe is running it back with the same 4 teams, a little bit of a different order. So the first match,
Oh my God!
yeah, they went English and Morikawa.
How
again.
stubborn is Keegan Bradley?
Oh my goodness, that is a stunner. I can.
Henley Schiff. Oh my God!
It's
They've lost the plot.
wow. That is. I did not expect to see that. I did not expect to see that at all. So let's run through them for our audio audience. So the first match is Bryson and Cameron Young. So they're true bombers,
sure.
Bomberfest, against Fitz and Ludwig Oberg, who were fantastic.
Yeah.
English and Morikawa, again, I can only imagine what Golf Twitter is saying right now. That one's hard to justify. It was hard to justify the first time. It's really hard to justify the second time. And if those guys lose, and they're playing the same, they're playing the guys who they didn't even get across the road. They're playing their daddy again.
I guess what you say is they can't play any worse. Their pride has been damaged. They're going to have red ass.
But it is an interesting look. We were just talking about this, that Keegan's got to like throw the plan away. He obviously is sticking with the plan, and I wonder if he's thinking, I don't want these guys to panic.
Yeah.
And if I change everything, they're going to panic. So that second match, Harris English and Collin Morikawa against Rory McIlroy and Tommy Fleetwood, I'd love to see the odds on that. I would think that McIlroy and Fleetwood would be at least minus 200 favorites.
Yeah.
The third match, this should be an epic one. Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay against John Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton.
Sure.
That's
great. I mean, those are probably that they played the best this morning in Alter Schnott, those two teams.
And then Russell Henley and Scottie Scheffler again against Robert McIntyre and Victor Hovland. So Scottie goes out again, which is no surprise.
No surprise.
He's sticking with the plan.
Sure. I think this may go to what we were talking about before. Like, Keegan just doesn't want these guys to hate him. He's like,
Yeah.
well, if we're going to lose, at least they'll still like me. You don't want to lose and have them hate you. That's like the Nick Faldo captaincy.
I don't feel confident after seeing that. I really don't.
At what point do we start fretting about the future of the Ryder Cup, Dan?
I think it might be pretty soon.
By noon tomorrow?
I think it might be by noon
when
tomorrow.
Europe wins 3.5 points?
I can't believe he went back to the English Morikawa well.
I guess you're just saying these are professional golfers. They're good at what they do. They have to bring it. They have to bring it. And it's almost like you just.
It is
it's the
gut
law
check
of
time.
averages.
It's gut check time for those
Yeah.
two guys. They got embarrassed today. They're going
And-
back out
and
tomorrow.
Henley.
They're going back out tomorrow against the team that absolutely sunned them this afternoon. It's gonna be an interesting day.
I mean, like they always say in golf, it's hard to follow up a really low round. So you assume that Tommy and Rory are not going to play as well, and their opponents are going to play better, and maybe it could be a close match. And if the U.S. can steal like 2.5 points, it's going to feel epic.
Yeah.
It'll be a Mongolian reversal.
It'll be a Mongolian reversal. We got to defer 1 hour again. You have to defer an hour now. Yeah, you got to defer. Do not restart now. We're going to finish the show with a couple chirps from the gallery. I think the best part from an American perspective of today was golf Twitter, win, lose, or draw. They're going to eat.
Yeah.
So our first one, Andy, let's throw it up on the screen. This is Scottie Scheffler when America needs him the most, and it's just a picture of Robbie Berger. And Robbie responds, "Gonna take the next couple snaps off." That is a brutal one. Our next one, Russell Henley. He didn't play so great, but we don't need to shoot the guy. You said he was already dead. The guy said, "I know Russell Henley didn't play that great, but this seems extreme." And then our final one, this was really good from the European crowd. There's a new Donald in town.
That T-shirt's epic.
It's a picture of Luke Donald. Yeah, listen. I'm going to say it again, the Mike Tyson quote. Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. The U.S. has been punched in the face. They got to get some rest now. They got to dust themselves off. No time to feel sorry for yourself. Foursomes tomorrow morning.
I will say, Keegan's got some big brass ones.
He's got balls to go back to the well.
Whether it's folly or not, I mean, he is setting himself up for an all-time pounding if those teams don't play well. Yeah, it takes a lot of faith in those guys. Maybe it's a little timidity, like he just doesn't want to change the plan, but for him to actually go up on that dais and announce those teams.
Well, I think it's a little bit, he's trying to be like a confident leader and show belief in his team.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, you've been talking a lot about your women's basketball. I'm going to talk about the famous Manchester United. We've got a manager right now, Ruben Amorim, who everyone is asking him he plays a system.
Thanks for tuning in, folks.
He plays a system.
Oh, we got to keep going?
Yeah, he plays a system. He plays a 3-4-3 system, which is very different. Most people play 4-3-3 or 4-4-2, and they're terrible. And everyone's telling him, "You got to change the system. You got to change the system." And he said, "If I change my system in this moment, the players are going to look at me different forever." And so I think he's trying to instill confidence into his team.
That's actually a great analogy. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So
I
you're happy
apologize.
we continued the show.
I apologize. Yeah, I mean, this is great. This is great content now.
Yeah.
Like, because this is the ultimate. You said gut check for the players. This is going to define Keegan's captaincy. I mean, this is delicious. I love this.
Yeah, I'm excited for tomorrow now. All right, we're going to leave it at that. We made it to the pairings. I was because we were talking about before the show. Do we want to wait for the pairings? Do we want to go live before? I said, let's go live. They'll come out. They'll come during the show, and they almost didn't. And we almost had to do fake pairings that were going to be moot within 2 minutes. That would have been really, really bad television.
Yeah.
But we were saved. Thank you so
did.
much, Golf Sickos. No stream tomorrow. I got to get back to Los Angeles. But we'll be back on Monday, and we'll have some content for you guys tomorrow on the social channels. But Alan, thank you so much.
And I'll be writing for Scratch.golf.
Yeah, Alan's going to be writing all week for us. It's been lovely talking to you. It's
Thanks
been
for having
lovely
me.
talking to all of you, and we'll see you soon.